This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Hello everyone, it is Party Loaded. Welcome to this evening's show. My name's Luke Ritellick and we're punching into episode 80 with the crew.
Ow.
So we have Mimo, we have Ollie, and we have Jam. Hello everybody, how you doing?
Sup?
Hello. Hi, friends.
Now, I got a fun fact to lay on you all tonight as we head into
I love fun facts.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're heading into the 80s as far as the episode count goes, and the 80s is probably one of my favourite decades ever. But do you know what the bingo call for 80 is?
So, yeah.
Do you actually know what the bingo call for 80 is? It's totally random. Gandhi's breakfast. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Because
Did you say the bingo call?
Yeah, the bingo call for 80 is Gandhi's breakfast.
I did not know you were over 60 years old, Luke.
No, I'm getting there. No, apparently looking down on those numbers, it actually looks like a dude cross-legged in front of a bowl. I don't know. It kind of makes sense, I guess. But, yeah. Anywho.
I can't say I have much bingo experience. I'm going to have to defer to you on that one.
It's like a bowl.
Yeah, sure. Butt bowl. We could do that.
No, let's not ever do butt bowls.
Internet, please tell us why it's called Gandhi's breakfast.
Anyway, so yeah, we're not here to talk about Gandhi or breakfast. We're here to have a meal of video games instead, so let's do it.
You took us on that random segue.
I know.
That was all you.
Which means it's up to me to fish us out. So, what's everybody been playing this week? What do we got?
Oh, we've got some fun times. Jam and I, in an effort to play more Persona, continue to play Don't Starve together this weekend. And we can say it went medium.
It went.
It certainly went. And that's the problem with this game, is that you get so far into the game and just have it all obliterated. And it was our dear friend, the Deer Clops, who did it this time. We had our friend Mark on us playing for the first time, so we also had to deal with him really, oh, what's this? Oomph, death notification, and then trying to help him resurrect himself. And
that was the best.
In an effort to sort of save things from a chest, Jamie set everything that we owned on fire while we were under attack.
I forgot I was holding a torch, and I took a swing, and lit
then you died, and you're like, Imogen, put out the fire! Imogen, put out the fire!
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god!
Let's say.
All right, maybe
Did you start a fire, Mimo, while opening a chest as well?
Well, that was going to be the next story. Spoiler alert, Ollie.
Hang on, before we get to that, just for the benefit of anyone who didn't hear us talk about this game initially way back when, Don't Starve, quick overview, what's the game?
Oh, it's so great. It's this cute little, 2D top-down survival,
base building, resource collecting. We decided it was a cross between Darkest Dungeon, Minecraft, and I can't remember what the third one was, but it was definitely those three games.
A behemoth game of some sort, I'd say.
Very Tim Burton-esque.
Yeah, cool art style.
Very cool art style. Some amazing and weird and wonderful sort of mechanics. You can go insane. You can get hungry. Obviously, you've got your standard health. They've got different characters who have different attributes. So it's basically, and you go through seasons. So it's a survival game through the seasons. And usually we make it to spring. So you start in autumn, you do winter, which is about 10 days. And then you go through to spring. And we've died every spring, or at the end of winter at least, by a
Every time we think we've got it.
Every time we think we've now, and we were so close on that one.
So
we were so well set
how
up.
much in real time is a game day?
Everything.
Do you actually know how much in real time a game day is? Is it 10 minutes?
I think
20
it's
minutes?
15 or less than 10 minutes, I'd say.
Okay.
Oh, I'd say a bit more.
I'm not sure. So the thing, a standard day is always the same time, obviously, but the daylight hours, the dusk hours, and the night hours fluctuate depending on the season as well. Mm-hmm. So at night, if you don't have a light, you will be attacked by the shadows and die, which is bad. If you run back to your camp and you've got your fire pit and you just need to add logs to it and then it goes dark and you can't see your fire pit anymore, you die.
Yeah.
Definitely die. And then you come back as a ghost, which illuminates the area slightly, and you see you're right on top of the stupid fire pit the whole time. There is
Great game.
There's 2 touchstones in the world that you can resurrect yourself at. If you haven't found those, good luck floating around as a ghost for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was really difficult. And then I had to go by myself as well while we were waiting to play some games the other night, and came across this really cool base. I made it my own. I was all set up. I made some cool discoveries. I found a fire wand, which was amazing. I was super excited. And solo is really hard. The game's called Don't Starve Together for a reason. And so I was trying to do a sort of solo map by myself. Was trying to test out the fire wand, so I had that in my hand. Misclicked on one of my chests full of all of my cool, sweet items that I'd spent hours collecting and set everything on fire. So that got deleted.
So I was playing Minecraft on Discord, and I just hear this, oh no.
Oh, damn, it's happened again!
Oh, we just can't have nice things.
No, that is why I can't have nice things. It was simply I right-clicked instead of left-clicked on a chest, and that was the result of holding the fire wand. So I'm super disappointed, but now I know what a fire wand is. So learning.
It's a wand of fire.
Yeah. Oh, 7 days. It's like 7 days to die if Tim Burton drew it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's probably a more accurate description.
Nice.
So good fun.
Yeah.
Not an expensive game. You can get it on Steam, and I think you can play it on PlayStation. I know people who play on PlayStation, so give it a go. Don't starve together.
And it was actually recently released proper, wasn't it? It was sort of in early access or beta for quite a while.
I think late last year it came out as a full game, and now there's Don't Starve Together Shipwrecked, which is an expansion where you can go on the high seas.
Ooh. Adding more danger to that game does not seem like the thing that it needs.
I know. Tentacles, people everywhere. Yeah, so that was our adventure into gaming, other than, the standard fare.
Nice. Well, I getting a little distracted this week. Think I may have a problem. And that problem...
I think you definitely do.
That problem is digital card games.
No.
Did we establish this last week?
We did, but look,
every week?
I only briefly talked about Gwent last week, and I'm kind of in a position now where, having sunk a bullshit amount of time into it in the last 7 days, I could probably elaborate on the experience a little bit more and talk about why I think it is such a really, really good game. So, who here, and I'm assuming it's going to be Ollie and Jam, but not Mimo, is actually familiar with Gwent from the Witcher games? Are you reasonably familiar with the mechanics of how that works?
I didn't play it.
Really? Oh, okay.
Really?
Interesting.
I wanted to stab monsters.
Well, that's fair.
Not
you can do
play
both.
card games.
Yeah. There's a ton of that too in But anyway, so I obviously love the shit out of Hearthstone and thought I'd just try out Gwent just from a point of comparison to see, because there's a lot of quite high-profile Hearthstone streamers that have been showing the game some interest lately, and I thought, I'll just check it out. One of the appeals for me is actually that it's very, very different, because if I was going to spend time checking out another digital card game, I don't want to play something that's just like a poor man's Hearthstone. I want to actually do something that is going to be a significantly different experience, so I can kind of compare and contrast and feel like I'm not playing the same game. And Gwent is absolutely that. It is super, super different, and it's very, very different to a lot of digital card games as well. Like, you won't find a lot of comparisons to things like Magic the Gathering and some of your more traditional sort of card games of that nature. So it is by and large played on a board across, you have 3 lanes on your side and your opponent has 3 lanes on their side. And the lanes are meant to represent sort of melee, ranged, and artillery. And the whole point of the game is you have a deck of cards, you get a very, very large hand of them, like you draw roughly half your deck to play. And you basically play cards onto the board, and they're worth a certain amount of fight value, and that score accumulates, and you win the round if you've got the highest amount of value. It's as simple as that. So there's none of this stuff that you see in a lot of other traditional digital card games with attacking and blocking and defending and all that kind of stuff. It's literally you play cards down, and their value counts towards your score. But there's a lot of additional layers of detail with what the cards do when they hit the board. So, like, a lot of them trigger effects, a lot of them synergize with each other and sort of, buff each other and give bonuses and that kind of thing. Some of them actually directly damage cards on your opponent's side of the board. and that's where all the detail comes in. But one of the things that I love about this game immediately is that it is played as a best of 3. So if you get a bad draw, you actually get like another 2 rounds to try and rectify that problem by getting better cards in your hand, sort of thing. So it does sort of take the edge off the random card game factor quite a bit. And there's a lot less random stuff in the game. Like a lot of the things that you are doing during gameplay is you have direct effects that are linked to your action as opposed to rolling a dice to see how much damage you do to things. So it's very, very strategic. I'm enjoying it a lot from the perspective of looking at card games in a whole different way. And they've changed some of the core mechanics from the Witcher version of the game too, which I think is a very, very good move. Like one of the big things that I thought was weird in the Witcher version is that there's these weather cards, which are kind of like effects that hit a whole lane at once. So if you've got, say, like 3 troop cards played on like your melee lane, and you throw like a weather effect down like a blizzard, and it starts doing 1 point of damage to everything in the lane each turn. Now, in the new Gwent card game, those weather effects you can play to any lane, whereas in The Witcher, the weather cards were locked into this type of weather only gets played in this lane. This type of weather only gets played in this lane.
Ah, okay. That's a good change, actually.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's a massive change. And there's a lot more cards in the Witcher version of Gwent that actually have immunity to the weather effects, and pretty much all of those have been taken out for the standalone Gwent. So weather makes a big difference, but there's a lot more ways to avoid it and manipulate it, as opposed to just sort of ignoring it utterly, which seems like a lazy mechanic when it comes to designing a thing like that in a game. So
what sort of deck are you running then? Are you like a Northern Realms, a Nilfgaard? Are you like a monster deck?
Yeah. Well, there's I'm pretty sure there's 5 different main sort of factions in the game. A bunch of the ones that Ollie just mentioned. The one that I am running currently is a monster deck. So I have got a very strong theme in my deck around sort of blizzard effects and sort of laying ice storms down on the ground and doing sort of, each turn sort of damage to big areas of the board. But there's some really, really cool bounce effects as well. Like I've got these, one of my favorite strategies that I'm doing quite a bit at the moment is there's these harpies that you can play, which when you drop a harpy card down, it actually spawns 2 eggs next to it as well. And if those eggs get destroyed, they basically hatch and give you like little minions that give you a few more points on the board. So your opponent can ignore them totally, and they've don't spawn the creatures that sort of boost your score. But if they ignore them totally and then you end the round, they basically hatch open at the end of the round and you get them for the next round anyway. So if they ignore them, it's only going to hurt them when the next round starts. So, and there's some really cool things like that too, which actually persist on the board after it gets cleared each round as well. So if you have anything that is, I think it's either stubborn or resilient is the rule name. If you can apply that to a card when a round ends, the card actually stays on the board. So often the strategy that you're trying to think about, you can actually concede a round. Like if you want to sort of give your opponent a round and you're in a position where you want to conserve the cards in your hand and not play any more of them because you want to be able to be stronger to sort of come back the following round, it's actually like a legitimate choice to throw around to sort of live again to fight another day. And man, it's really cool. Like I at this point it is quite clearly a new game because it doesn't have the breadth of cards as some of the other established digital card games, but there is heaps in there at the moment, and I really like the progression system. I think they've really put a lot of thought into how you sort of build up your collection, and they've got daily sort of quests as well, which you get for winning every round as opposed to every game. So if you have a game where you go 2-1, that still counts towards your rewards because you still have won one of those rounds. So you get daily bonuses, you get level up bonuses, you also get winning game bonuses. There's a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm actually finding that I'm building a collection at a reasonable rate. I don't feel like it's going to take me forever to be competitive. And there is ranked play as well, which I haven't unlocked just yet, but I'm pretty close. So yeah,
nice.
But I'm not going to go too much more into detail because I'll risk droning on about it forever.
Because there isn't any more detail left.
Yeah, well, there's
you did
lots,
all of the details.
there's lots. But I would encourage anyone to check it out for yourself. It is free to play, available on the good old Games Galaxy client. And that led me neatly into the next thing, which I started playing this week. Now, this is actually based off a quick conversation I had with Jam and Ollie the other night, because you guys are pretty much the experts on this. So I started The Witcher 3 a while ago and played through the first sort of segment of the game where you're hunting the Griffin and you're sort of in the first sort of region of the map kind of thing. And then I put it down and I left it for quite a while. Like I think something big came out at the time. It might have been Overwatch. It really distracted me and I haven't sort of gone back since. Now, since that time, I've actually managed to acquire The Witcher 2 as part of the bonuses for being involved in the Gwent beta test. And I discovered it as well when I loaded up the game and started playing it. There's actually a free unlock in GOG Galaxy that gives you a copy of The Witcher 1 as well. So I've basically got all 3 Witcher games now, where before I only had the third one. And I now had this dilemma: do I go back to Witcher 3 or do I start from the beginning? Because I know that it is a very heavy sort of story-based RPG game, but it has been out for quite a while, so the first one's quite dated. So now chatting to you guys, I got the distinct impression that story-wise, the impact of starting at number 3 as opposed to going back to the beginning is kind of like if you were to play Mass Effect 3 without playing the first 2 Mass Effects. Would that be a fair comparison, do you think?
Yeah, less so from the story decisions, but more so just the depth of background.
Yeah, the world stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't play one.
Yeah, I know.
You're a heathen.
Yeah, so...
But even if with that jam, you would have found in number 2 when someone rocks up and they're like, hey, it's that guy from that thing. And you're like, sure.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
it's probably why I didn't pay much attention to the characters.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
I just wanted to stab monsters.
Well, I'm really learning heaps about the world, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So I thought, look, I actually want to go through this story. So I had loaded up Witcher 1, the original Witcher, a couple of nights ago and started playing that. And that was an experience, let me tell you, because, game is dated. I think it's like...
Yes.
I think it's 10 years old now. It's not a new game at all.
Oh, something like that.
Yeah. And look, honestly, the story and the character development stuff is really good. Like I like all the VO and you know, the general way that the narrative plays out is quite cool. The missions are, you know, interesting and compelling, and the main sort of stuff that's going on plot wise is good. The gameplay kind of shocked me a little bit though, in terms of how the graphics looked and some of the actual general gameplay stuff. But the more I settled into it, the more it felt comfortable and it wasn't as jarring. But the big thing that kind of threw me is that I was expecting to be able to sit down in front of the PC and play this game on a gamepad, but it doesn't have gamepad support, so I'm having to play on the keyboard, which is something I'm not used to that. Like, I don't play a lot of these games with keyboard. That's something that you do quite a lot, Ollie, so I know that wouldn't really impact you.
Pretty much all I do.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, big sort of, you know, combat heavy story games like that, I like to sit back and sort of lean back with a gamepad and just sort of play more comfortably that way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm getting used to it. It's cool. It's going to take me a good while to get through this thing, though. I think it's still about a 40 to 60 hour game. So yeah, we'll see how we go. I'll report back when I've played a bit more of it. But so far, it's feeling like a dated game, but it's still very, very good. So that's me and The Witcher. So yeah, speaking of big games with lots of hours in them, Persona 5 Jam, what's going on? How you going?
Oh, it's getting good. Getting so juicy. I can't say anything. I'm in November. Shit has gone down.
Did you not finish the game the other night? You said you finished the game.
No. Okay, so I messed up and I got a fail ending. Because in real life, there was a fucking cat trying to, like, sit on the controller. I reloaded it, of course.
Right.
It is very good, and I can't say anything. Memo, you have to catch up because I need to talk about this.
Okay. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yep. Yeah, it's really good.
Much distracted.
I'm in the last palace. I'm pretty sure it's the last. It's got to be the last palace. And so interesting. But I'm loving it. I haven't been bored playing this game.
Okay.
Like, even whenever I felt comfortably on top of things, it's only ever been very briefly. It's got a good story to it. It's not just really interesting mechanics, great music. It's got a really good story. Very captivating, and it keeps you on your toes. Things pop up and you go, oh, okay, so that's why that happened a while ago. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So I want to try and finish it ASAP.
You've obviously been quite distracted by a lot of other games in the last couple of months.
Oh, always.
But I'm getting the impression that's a lot more of a towards those things as opposed to an away from Persona thing. So.
Oh, yeah. No, Persona is why I haven't gone back to Mass Effect Andromeda or Horizon Zero Dawn.
Right.
And I love Horizon Zero Dawn, but when I sit down I pick up my PlayStation controller, I can't not put Mass Effect on before any other game.
Yeah, Jen wasn't quite at the point of the story of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Did I say Mass Effect? I meant Persona.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't, I don't think you're quite at the point in Horizon Zero Dawn where it sounds like you're in with Persona, where you have to know how it ends.
Yeah.
You are in short, once you finish Persona, Horizon Zero Dawn, you are just about to get into the amazing
The really juicy stuff.
Oh, yeah. You're going to want to finish that one. And the same thing, like, I rushed to the end of that because I was so keen to see what happened.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you cannot rush Persona. You cannot.
No, I know.
You really
No.
cannot.
I think
It's
Imogen's
just-
got bigger problems. Are you getting distracted by
Oh, no, I mean,
magic ups and shit
even if
after
you
last
want
week's
to.
chatting to Mark? Or
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck in, like, I go through, like, phases and that I really want to play games. And recently I sort of wake up with, like, man, I want to really play games today, which is awesome, except the games I want to play are, like, survival games, RTSs, online games and things like that. And so Persona 5 gets sort of, like, put into the background. So unless Jam's like, no, today I'm playing Persona 5. I will see you later. I won't jump on my PlayStation because I have no one to talk to. And I feel like I'm missing out otherwise. But yeah, I have to go back. But I was distracted this week. Mark, who was on our episode last week from the Play Nice, Play Now podcast, mentioned a little game called Magikarp Jump. And I have checked it out. And have discovered that, as per usual, the Pokemon franchise is an evil overlord, and the treatment of Pokemon is not cool. I'm not down with it. A Magikarp Jump is like an iOS game. I think it's on Android. I'm not sure. It's an official sort of Pokemon release. I'm sure it's, I was going to actually say that it might be good for your kids, Luke. Other than the fact that they would commandeer your phone/iPad at that stage.
I was going to say, it's the one thing they don't need is more Pokemon. Holy shit.
It's just really simple. So your youngest could probably get into it a lot more than the sort of standard Pokemon thing. So it's incredibly simple.
My youngest is speedrunning Breath of the Wild at the moment. I think he'll be fine.
Oh, no, he'll be fine. Yeah. So you're a Magikarp in a league of Magikarps, and you got to see how high you can jump. And you do that by feeding your Magikarp as they grow and getting them other Pokemon friends to hang out with them next to the pool. So Magikarp lives in a pool. And then so at the moment I've got Litten, Pikachu, and the new Seal. What was the new...
Dugong or...
No, it's
Popplio.
Penguin.
Popplio.
No, it wasn't Popplio, it's the Penguin one.
Oh,
It's like a little blue
Empoleon?
penguin. Yeah, maybe. Question
Jesus.
mark. I'm not good with the new Pokemon. I know Pikachu and I know Magikarp, the original OG. And yeah, so they hang out. You get jump power, and you do training, which is basically just spamming the screen with your finger. I'm not entirely sure that it actually contributes. It might just be random. So basically, at this stage, it's sort of clicking simulator. But once your Magikarp reaches max level, so once you fish one out of the ocean, it has a max level. And picture, if you will, it's a beautiful game. I fished out this Magikarp. I spent probably about 10 minutes leveling it up to max level. At level 15, I take it off to the Pokemon League. I give it a couple of jumps, and I get close to sort of its maximum power and go, oh, I'm not sure about the next one. But at the end of that match, you can have random encounters throughout the game. So I'm at a random encounter. There was a random Pokemon ball on the ground. And these kind of things happen. You can see like a shiny bauble in the ocean while you're swimming home, or you see fruit in a tree, but it looks really high and dangerous to jump. And do you want to jump, or could it be a trap? So I clicked on the Pokeball thinking, oh, if it's a trap, I'll lose like jump power or something. No, it killed my Magikarp. It was a Voltorb. It sent out, not only that, but it's like, oh no, it's a Voltorb. And then like Voltorb went all Voltorby, and as a verb. And and it was like, oh no, Magikarp, it's all going black. And then usually at the end of your Pokemon's turn, if they go through the run, you take them on a walk through to retirement. So once they leave max level, they're no use to you anymore. So you take them to retirement. Not really sure what that means, but it sounds
Pokemon Blue
vaguely like
Factory.
pretty much. But the scene, so Voltorb is like, oh no, Magikarp, it's all gone black. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? I must have lost so much jump power. It was just the same walk that you take with your retiring Magikarp, except no Magikarp.
Oh.
I was like, this is way too harsh. What is happening? Is he dead? I'm not sure. You just never see him again, and it comes up with his stats, like how many times you fed him, how many battles you went into with him, how many times you trained. I'm like, I don't need to remember the good times. This is like a Magikarp eulogy. I'm not a fan.
That's sad.
I'm not sure about Magikarp Jump anymore. It is not terribly engaging. If you're a Pokemon fan, you might be interested. It's free. It's kind of a good time waster. If you're looking for that sort of stopgap, you could sort of play it in 5 minutes and put it down. But yes, a little bit too much, I think, in terms of the having to continually retire your Pokemon. You can collect different types of Pokemon. So if you want to catch them all, then I just realised that air quotes don't work in an audio podcast. If you want to catch them all, you can. There is like lots of different variations, and as they grow, their patterns get clearer and all of that cool stuff. So you can decorate your tank and all of that. So it's a fun little game, but yeah, I don't think I want to play it anymore. I'm a bit sad.
Yeah, that's fair. It's been a bit sad of a week for Pokemon in general, I think.
I need you to explain to me why this is so sad.
Okay.
Because
Are we?
it sounds great.
Are we launching into news? Is that our segue?
We are
Sure.
launching into news. I thought that's where you were
Full
going,
steam
so I
ahead.
was just
Yeah.
going on with your segue. I was jumping on board the segue machine.
Cool. All right. So
Toot toot.
So Nintendo did a direct, so their form of presentation about upcoming release titles and sort of developments in the Nintendo sort of ecosystem. And the direct that they announced was to be themed around Pokemon, and that happened yesterday. So it was actually 10 p.m. Our time, early morning for the US, I believe. Tokyo's pretty much on the same timeline as us, so about the same for them. And there was a lot of buzz around the internet prior to this direct, sort of going, okay, what the heck could be, Nintendo announcing prior to E3? What are they actually going to get out ahead of? And of course, the Switch is their big push at the moment. So people were like, oh, cool, some new Switch titles. Pokemon plus Switch sounds like a fucking home run. That's exactly what people want. Are we going to see the next mainline Pokemon game on Switch, which, for a long time has been rumored as a title by the name of Pokemon Stars, so fitting in with the whole Pokemon Sun, Pokemon Moon sort of setup. But no, that's not what they announced at all. They announced three things. First of which is that they are porting the Wii U Pokken Tournament game to Switch, which they are basically doing like a souped-up version of it called, I think, Pokken Tournament XD or something. I think I got the name slightly wrong, but someone...
What the fuck is Pokken?
Pokken's basically a fighting game with Pokemon characters. Think of Pokemon Tekken, essentially. That's basically what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So, but that being said, I don't know a whole bunch about Tekken, so, that may be a better comparison with a different fighting franchise, I'm not sure. Probably more comparative to like a 3D Smash game, but with Pokemon exclusively instead of the rest of the Nintendo sort of pantheon. But like Pokken Tournament as a game has generally been pretty well received and it's fairly popular. Like a lot of people like that game. And looking at some video footage of what they're bringing to the Switch, I think that it's actually a really good fit for the platform because it's the kind of game that you'd want to sort of challenge people on the go, and the mobile nature of the sort of gaming seems like a really cool thing. The game looks good, but once again, it is a Wii U port, so it's one of those things where you're just like, when are we actually going to see some genuine new Switch titles that have been designed for this platform from the ground up? There's still that big question mark around that. And we know there's a few coming down the pike, but there's not a lot of them on the schedule at the moment, so it's a big question mark. Now, the second one, which caught a lot of people by surprise, and I certainly looked at it and just went, what the fuck, was they announced a new mainline Pokemon game, which is basically a sequel to Pokemon Sun and Moon. So there's going to be two titles. They're calling them Pokemon Ultra Sun and Pokemon Ultra Moon. And
Genius.
they are exclusive to the 3DS. So I'm like, what? Just, you had your layout, Nintendo, and you missed. What the hell? So... and the reason
They don't want to kill the 3DS, surely.
well, they don't. Okay, from a business standpoint, I totally understand this. And at the end of the day, there are hundreds times more 3DSs or DSs out in the wild than there are Switches at this point. So, they have a huge install base. Money-wise, it makes a lot of sense. But, they're going to have to kick that tire over at some point. They're going to have to move it forward and actually start putting some stuff on the Switch if that's the direction they're heading with their mobile gaming. I don't know. But the thing is that Pokemon Sun and Moon came out late last year, like it was out November last year. So, they're announcing a sequel to both of those titles, which isn't really a true sequel. It's kind of like a remake with some new content. They haven't really been clear on it. I mean, they've done this kind of thing in the past. Like, they've actually done remake versions of previous Pokemon titles. Like, they had, Ruby and Sapphire, which they remade as Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. But that was there was a significant time period between those two. And a big part of that was kind of bringing older generation Pokemon back to the forefront again. They have done true sequels like Black and White. They did Black 2 and White 2. But the big thing with that is that it was a genuine sequel. Like, the story was different. It was new. You know, everything that you did as you went through the game was like a whole new game. Whereas what these are sounding like is it's kind of like a tweaked version of the existing Sun and Moon. And it's like a year out from when they were released. So it just seems really, really odd. I don't know why they would choose to do that. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is. The third thing they announced is to the virtual console for 3DS, they're bringing Pokemon Gold and Silver, I want to say. Yeah, which are a couple of the old generation Pokemon games that hadn't been brought through to the digital distribution model yet, which they've done with some of the older titles recently. So that was good news because they're really, really good, good older Pokemon games. So people were genuinely excited about that. But I mean, as a whole, there was a lot of expectations that were not met by the larger populace. And I was actually watching the general sort of backlash that was hitting the internet sort of, minutes after the presentation ended. And it was staggering, like the amount of, salt that was out there. It was, Pokemon Omega Salt was in full swing. So yeah, it was interesting. I'm real curious what Nintendo's plan is heading into E3 now, because they've done the Pokemon thing now ahead of the main event. They've clarified that they're, looking at the scheduling, their presentation at E3 is only going to be half an hour. So I'm thinking that it's going to be very Mario-centric and maybe not a whole lot else. So you got to wonder what is going through their minds in terms of marketing for the Switch at the moment, because there's still just not a lot on the table. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I think it just means that the presentation at E3 will be Switch-centric. They're just getting the 3DS and they're just, nod to their, existing users before they make a big announcement where 3DS users are like, where are my new 3DS games?
Yeah.
They're kind of placating both, because E3 really is where you're going to get your new adopters and those types of things. And everyone's looking at Nintendo for something for the Switch. People want the Switch to have great games. People are rooting for the Switch. They're like, go Switch, please create a AAA title at some stage. But
yeah,
it has to be something.
You have to wonder whether some of the mentality sort of in the Nintendo offices at the moment is kind of like, well, nobody fucking bought the Wii U anyway, so we can bring Wii U games across to the Switch and people will think they're new. So, yeah.
Potentially, if they feel like their pickup in the multiplayer space as well, they'd focus on games that are multiplayer. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm not a Pokemon player, obviously. Why I play Magikarp Jump and find enjoyment out of it. But there we go.
Well, the Pokemon company actually released their earnings report for the last year recently, and it was really, really big. I think it was like, many hundreds of times more than what they had done in previous years. So they're doing all right at the moment. I think...
yeah, they're doing just fine. Nintendo are always going to do just fine. They're the survivor.
Yeah.
They will outlive both consoles, I believe, somehow, and everyone will be scratching their head as to how.
Yeah, we will see.
We had some more great news during the week about a new game that will be coming out that we are very excited about. We have spoken about it some time ago. It is a Australian produced game called Inflatables. It is a fighting game that you embody the inflatable, wacky, wavy arm guys
Wacky,
and
inflatable,
fight each other.
Man.
Oh,
Exactly.
So good.
Yep.
Nailed it. And when we saw this at PAX, gosh, it would have been 2014, would have been when I met you guys. This game looked amazing and we had a go and we were super excited about it, but we just hadn't heard anything further. This week they announced that they were seeking votes on Steam Greenlight, which was an interesting move considering Greenlight got retired this week. But they got so many votes in one day that they will be moving into the new Steam Direct system. There's obvious support for this game. I don't think they're really lucky in that this was picked up by some big people and either retweeted or shared amongst their networks. And before long, the internet fell in love with these tube people and their ability to whack each other to great effect. It is super fun. At first glance, it just seems like you're just mashing a keypad.
I found it really hard to
honest,
control. I found it super, super hard.
I love the shit out of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. The thing is, it looks like it's super simple or you're just mashing a controller, but let's be honest with each other. If you play a fighting game, you know that at least 40% of the audience is just button mashing anyway. That's how we play fighting games. So it's really fun and there really is a great knack to it. It's developed by two people. Hojo Studios. Look them up, Inflatables. You can follow them on Steam. They're going to be moving into the new Steam Direct system. They made a bit of a joke that they broke the Steam voting system and they had to shut it down and create a new one because their Greenlight sort of went through to the end of the Greenlight system. So now we're just waiting for Steam to turn on their Steam Direct system.
June 13th is when it's happening.
Yeah, so super soon. The entry costs everyone was a bit worried about ended up being completely reasonable at $100.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, but really good, I think.
Yeah, really good. It encourages small developers like these Hojo studios to sort of chase their dreams and develop these games, and hopefully weeds out the people who are just making anime dating sims for funsies at this stage.
Well, the entry price won't be what does that, though, because, I mean, a fun fact with regards to the $100 publishing fees, that's actually the same as what the Greenlight fee was.
Oh, interesting.
But the difference here is that whereas Greenlight was kind of a process where the games were curated by the voting mechanism, Steam Direct is going to actually have an internal team at Valve that does the eyes-on stuff, so they're going to be looking at it themselves. So,
perfect.
I mean, it's a little controversial in a way that it moves a little bit more into that black box model where you're not quite sure what's going on inside the machine and, you know, what criteria they're using. But at the end of the day, it's still a much better solution for getting rid of some of the trash that's out there, like you were mentioning a second ago. You know, the Steam marketplace is definitely in need of some, heavy-handed curation to clean it up a little bit. So, yeah, we'll see.
And it just means that, you know, community support for this game. I mean, when you're retweeted by the creator of Gears of War, you know, and said that, you know, he thought your game was genius, you know, that's pretty good. I'd be pretty happy with myself if I was one of a two-people person team who was waking up to that news. So good on Inflatality. When it comes out, I will be picking it up for sure and bashing my inflatable body against friends for fun. Sounds like a great night. This has been a week of fun announcements for games that we have played in the past. Oliver, you're a little bit excited about this one, even though you've just learnt about it.
I just learned about it, but it does make me very happy. Monument Valley 2 has been announced, and it's been released, actually, I think.
Yep.
Is that right? It's released.
It has released this week.
Oh, it's even more exciting.
Play it now.
I should be, actually. So Monument Valley, for those that never played of it, you're bad people, you should go play it. But it's essentially a pastel MC Escher puzzle game.
Yeah. If you've seen the first season of House of Cards, you've seen this game because Frank Underwood actually played it.
Also true.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's available on mobile devices. I think Monument Valley 2 is only on iPhone and iPad at the moment.
Yes.
And Android version's on the way. So it's like a casual 30 million downloads for the first one, so no big deal really. But yeah, it is a super fun puzzle game.
Yeah.
Monument Valley 1 was Game of the Year for iPad in 2014.
And rightly so, because it is really good. Yeah.
I've never played it, but my mum is a big fan.
Yep.
So
they released a lot of
when
additional
I found out this
content
news
for it
this
as well.
week, I was the first to contact her and say, "Oh, you might be interested in this," and she was very excited. So it seems to just sort of happen. I think I usually am on top of iOS games, but missed this one being announced entirely. And the internet is incredibly delighted by it already.
Well, it's a delightful little game, to be honest. So I'm super intrigued. Apparently, there's a bigger element on story for this one.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a bit of a story hinted and sort of explained a little bit throughout the first one, but not much.
It was kind of like a Journey-esque abstract sort of story, though.
Yeah, it was sort of implied rather than explicitly stated.
Yeah.
So, and I enjoyed it. I liked it, and the art style is adorable. So apparently there's Monument Valley 2 is going to be bigger and better than the first one. So look, I'm okay with that. I'm excited.
Sounds like
I reckon it'll be cool.
It's not bad.
Oh, look, the game is so pretty that you can buy art prints of stills of the levels.
Yeah.
It does look very
enough
pretty.
Said.
It's just that it's a puzzle
such
game,
a pretty
and I feel
peaceful
like
game.
it'll kick my butt.
It really won't. It's such a gentle learning curve.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is. It makes you feel good when you sort of advance through the game, but it's kind of one of those games where it's only a matter of time before you figure things out. Like you won't get sort of, brick-walled by something for too long at all.
Yeah. Well, I might have to check that out, even though it's a puzzle game.
You should.
Magic
You'll like it.
Jump let me down,
If
so
there
I need
was
a new
any
one.
puzzle game that
This
is
won't let you
suited
down,
to
Nemo.
your style, Imogen, I think it would be this one.
Yeah. Cool. All right, I'm going to give it a go.
Yay.
Speaking of good old games, segue. With E3 coming up, Good Old Games are a distributor of games, and they are having their sales, some of which titles are 90% off. And with every title that you buy in the Good Old Games sale, you will receive a free copy of the Rebel Galaxy, which is a game that I've never heard of. It says here, a good incentive if you like space games, trading, and killer guitar riffs. So I am surprised that I have not heard of it because it does sound super cool. Some of the sort of notable sale items, we have Theme Hospital, which is $2.09 Australian, down from $8. Oxenfree is $4.99, Dead Space $5.99. A bunch of things. Ooh. Darkest Dungeon is in the sale for $14.49. That game is super great.
Definitely buy that.
The Witcher 3 is $39.
That is definitely worth $39.
Yes.
Easily.
So if you don't mind playing on the Good Old Games, I'm assuming you have to do it through their launcher or all of those situations.
All of the CD Projekt Red games actually run through the GOG Galaxy launcher anyway, so yeah.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense why The Witch is on there then.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of other sales on there. So you can check out Good Old Games if you just Google it. It's on their front page. 1,500 deals and 90% off on some games is huge. So there is marketplaces outside of Steam, folks. So go have a look and you might find some pretty awesome titles that they have converted as well that might be on sale.
I was just going to say, I actually totally forgot about the E3 sale period. Holy shit, I'm going to have to put some money together over the next couple of weeks, aren't I? Fuck.
Yeah, for sure. It's like end of financial year for games, even though the digital copies, everything must go.
Yeah.
They have to count all of the digital copies if they don't sell them. So it's always fascinating to be online sales. But it's definitely sale time because you're trying to shift games before new games gain focus. So
yeah.
A lot of things go on sale now. So you're like, I know all these games. Oh, no, I don't have all of this money to buy the new thing from Bethesda.
Or the new thing that's going to get announced by Square that's not coming out for 10 years anyway. So, you know.
Yeah, exactly right. In releases ahead of E3, another big notable one, Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind came out this week. It looks super cool. We spoke about this because when the trailer came out, it looked badass. And as tabletop gamers, notably D&D, we could see a lot of similarities. It is 100% Elder Scrolls, and reviews early on have been really good. I watched some gameplay trailers, and now I want to start a new MMO so badly.
Because that's what you need, another time sink.
No, I was going to say, don't do it, Imogen. I'm usually an enabler when it comes to games, and you and anyone else that, you know, is part of our friends group in general. Like, I'll push them to the lip of that volcano and boot them in, but I actually think that maybe this time you should not do that.
Memo, I'll join you.
Oh, shit.
Yay! I was about to say, I know that Jamie and her sister are big fans of Tamriel as a setting, and we've all played Skyrim, and we talk about Skyrim at length, so I feel like there could be like a little clan sort of joining. We could play together, because if somebody else is on there, then goodbye world, see you later. Yeah. It's going to become my Hearthstone. That's all you're going to hear about. The world become very important, and it will take over eating, sleeping, all of those things. I'm joking, of course. It's not going to get to that level because I enjoy life.
You hope.
But I do need to finish Persona 5 first because I know when I start
well,
playing it, that's going to consume all of my time. So the big title that I want to finish is Persona before that one. So check it out. Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind.
You have been rocketing through titles this year, though. So I guess if you're ever in a position to pick up something, you know, significant again, now's not a terrible one for you. So
yeah, I want to finish Persona 5 and I want to finish Ori and the Blind Forest. That will not be named. I want to finish those two. They're on my list. And then as far as new releases go, there's nothing really big that's coming out that I'm interested in. So I might just pick it up for funsies. Also, they've now got the One Tamriel system, which means that you can access all quests ever. So it means that even though you pick up the game to play Morrowind, you don't have to go straight in there, or you can go straight into the Morrowind expansion and then go back and do other quests, which is really freaking cool. And, you know, that was just them listening. And so it's changed a lot from the original Elder Scrolls, and I feel like it's gaining momentum a bit like World of Warcraft did in those early years. So more to come, I am sure.
And now it's time for our party game of the month review.
Yes.
So this week we are reviewing Pit People.
Yay,
so
Pit Peeps.
This is a fabulous action role-playing strategy vidya game made by the lovely folks at The Behemoth. This one is available on Xbox One and Windows, and it is a super fun, team-based RPG action-adventure game, which I've said already, but I'll say it again because it's really cool. So
And
some
it's funny.
basics.
It is early access. I will point that out before we go further. Yeah. So it is
That
still
being
in
said-
early access, but it was it's still a
quite
solid
polished
game.
for early access. Yeah. So it has the classic Behemoth comedy and art style to it, which is adorable and amazing at the same time. For the basic layout, you control a team of unlikely heroes battling their way through various quests and missions and occasionally PvP. And you manage them on an isometric hex grid, and you will have your different sort of unique takes on the classical RPG sort of trope classes, such as the big fighter or the rogue or the cleric and various other bits and pieces around there. So clerics are cupcakes, and they are delicious.
So good.
And
So
amazing.
cute.
They spoon their icing onto you. They sacrifice
Yes.
their own life source and spoon icing onto you, and that's how you get health. I love you, Behemoth, forever and ever. Far out.
My favourite joke that originally went over my head when I played this game was one of the earliest missions is you save a cupcake called Gluten. And he says, "You set me free." And for about 10 minutes, that joke went completely over my head. And I was like, mid sort of quest, I went, "Motherfuckers." I see what you did there.
Oh, little Gluten. He's the best.
Oh, he is amazing.
I'll just mention before we sort of go too far past it, it is $14.99 US price-wise.
Yes.
Yep.
So entirely reasonable.
Yeah, and when I said early access, it's still fairly solid, and they will let you know when you get in there what update you're up to. In terms of progress, we sort of finished all of the storyline that was there. But there's oodles of like random world stuff to do. So even if you get it early access, there's plenty of things to do. And most importantly, you can play with your pit peeps. And that was the most fun thing about this, is that we can go through the storyline with other people, like 2-player co-op, which was super cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, the narrator's pretty fucking cool as well.
The best.
He is pretty good. And then you dungeon mastered our last D&D session with an accent that was almost exactly the bear. Almost
look.
exactly. It was
Go with what
uncanny.
works, right?
The humour of it is just overwhelmingly Behemoth.
Yeah.
If you've played Behemoth game before, it's on point.
So the narrator, I think, is actually the guy from Battle Block Theatre, I think.
Sounds the same, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy. So I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure it's the same guy from Battle Block Theatre.
It just works.
Is Battle Block Behemoth as
It
well?
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Battle Block Theatre, Castle Crashers, and there's another one that I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry, people.
I keep on thinking Shovel
You
Knight,
know
but
it.
I know that it's not the Behemoth. They're different company. Yeah, no, it's escaped me.
Okay. So, shall we describe then how the game mechanics actually work? So, we've described that it's a team-based action role-playing adventure game. Jane. Adventure Jane. So, the way this works, it's an isometric hex grid. You have a set amount of movement for each of your characters, and they have auto-generated actions depending upon whether they're next to a person, if they're a melee class, if they're at range, if they're a shooty pew class, or depending on who's around them, if they're like a cleric or a support class. So that was actually one of the trickiest parts to get used to, is that you are not going with your person. You're not going, this fighter, I click on the baddie he's going to hit. It's all about positioning on this hex grid. So if you want your team to wail on one person, you have to position it so that they don't have anyone else around them, or that they mostly are around that person, so that they only hit that person. Because otherwise, I have no idea what the algorithm is, so I'm going to presume it's completely random.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was for me the biggest learning curve, was learning how to position my units to actually attack the things I wanted to attack, and not just wail randomly. So
That being said,
how do you guys find that
it's
one?
kind of important, like with that mechanic, because I think it would be very, very easy if that wasn't the case. And part of the strategy of using the board and using the hex grids sort of comes with positioning your guys, like particularly when you're fighting against a force that's under the same conditions, you need to position you guys in such a way that you're trying to divide the enemy's attacks as much as possible. So the fact that you know that they're affected by that limitation as well as you, I think, is pretty important. So yeah, I like that a lot. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, funnel them.
Yeah, I always call it hot gates. You always have to hot gates the enemy, so you want to have lots of your guys onto like one of theirs or like two of theirs sort of thing. So that way you can maximize your advantages and absolutely pwn them. I should also say there are a variety of units. So I've got the unit list up here. So we have the beloved cupcake that we mentioned. We have the Biclops, the Electrobot, the Gnome, the Gorgon, the Hair Troll, which I thought was a werewolf. And I was like, all right, cool, it's a hair troll. The Human, the Kobold, the Mascot, the Mushroom, the Octotops, Pixie, Ranged, because apparently that's just a dude. Rainbow Horse, not a unicorn. Very important, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's got a rainbow horse.
But,
a Spider.
But it's got a horn.
I'm aware. A Spider, which is like a Spider Centaur. A Troll Mum, a Vampirus, a Wraith, and a Zombie. So there's a wide variety of units that each do their own little things. So like the I swear it's not a unicorn, is like an AoE ranged guy.
He's great.
The generic Human is like a sort of just a fighter man's. So the Hair Troll is like a big beat stick.
Mine,
the
not a unicorn,
like an AoE.
is called Ape Butt. The names of the little monsters are hilarious.
Oh, it is fabulous. Now, each one of those guys takes up a slot in your team, and certain things actually take up 2 slots. So, because they're big, scary things, like the Hair Troll, for instance, takes up 2 slots in your team because they're quite powerful and their effects are quite dramatic. So it is a bit of team management. Do you want just a few stronger guys, or do you want a few more of the maybe like slightly weaker guys? And there is a leveling system, so your characters do level up depending on their deeds, how much damage they take, how much tanking, that sort of thing after each battle. Each battle does have a ranking system, so you can see exactly how much like damage one person did, or how much tanking they did, and who was your MVP, and how well you did in that fight. There's a little star system. And of course, like every RPG, that means there is loot. So, and everyone loves loot. It's great. So with the loot, yeah, you get plenty of gold, costumes. There is a lot of cosmetics, but they have a thing. So gear is broken down into categories, essentially, rather than specific things. Just as an example, in the melee class, there's a light sword, a medium sword, a heavy sword, a mallet, and a heavy mallet. And then there's like various tweaks and twists on them. Say, for example, so mallets, for example, are really good against helmets. Swords are really good against, they'll just do medium damage, but they're bad against helmets. So it's a balancing act of what you want. And then some might add like acid damage or be explosive and that sort of thing. And these are weird and wacky. So my favourite shield that I got was just a slab of rebarred concrete. One point I had a fridge door.
I had a picket fence.
Picket fence is a classic. For a mallet, I had a giant lollipop. That was pretty great. I got a guitar. You got a guitar? Awesome. Yeah. Did you guys have any cool, wacky weapons that you guys found out about?
I used a cake as a shield.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
Oh, and a stick of dynamite. That was nuts. That was pretty
I remember in the
PvP,
PvP,
the punching
actually.
fishes.
Yeah, the punching fishes.
Or were they birds?
The gun fishes. No, they were birds. That was right. They were explosive birds.
Explosive
and
birds.
He wore them on his fist like gloves. I don't know how that works. And then as he punched people, they exploded and they were magically back again.
Clacker.
Chad just wanted to say that word, clearly.
Apparently so.
You asked.
Yeah. There's also all sorts
so
of
funny.
cool like gormless fish heads you can put on people's heads, or a TV, or it's just fantastic. And also that they have very specific, there's still a balance, so you'll overweight your characters so they can't move properly and things like that. So
yeah, I don't know if you guys found this, but I found that a lot of the stats don't matter overly much for the weapons. It's pretty much just what works best against each sort of thing.
Yeah.
And as long as the guy wasn't super encumbered, they were pretty much fine with just doing whatever. So my range guy didn't care if he had throwing axes or an amazing bow or like a stick of dynamite to throw. He's just like, I'm a range guy. I pew pew. This is my lot in life.
It's definitely a game that benefits from having a variety of different fighting styles on your team. Like that whole helmets thing was pretty important. So, if you don't account for, coming up against enemies that are armored in that way, and you don't have anyone in your team with the appropriate weapon to deal with that, then that's a real big downer for you. So, yeah, was interesting.
One really cool thing is you can recruit new people from the market, but if you're out and about and you jump into an encounter and you get down to one guy left, if you've got a character that throws a net as a weapon, not only can they like tie down and hold the enemy, if it's the last enemy on the board, you can actually try and capture them to recruit them to your roster, which is really neat. And sometimes it has you trying to kill all these stupid ads and keep this one buff enemy alive.
Yeah.
Even though your characters will just, especially your ranged ones, will start bombarding
you got to plan
them,
ahead for it though.
No, god damn it!
Like you got to plan ahead and actually bring a cage with you to bring them back in though. That's something you can't forget.
You need a net person and you have to have cages.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want me one of those spy tours.
Spy doors are
a spider centaur. So very confusing mix of animals.
Well, unless you play D&D and you know what a Drider is, but yeah. Or is it the other way around? Is it the upper half spider?
No, a Drider is lower spider, upper drow.
Yeah,
whereas this is upper spider, lower deer.
Oh, okay. Right. Totally different then.
Wait, is it?
Yeah. It's a deer body. It might have an extra couple of legs, but it's definitely a deer. It's bizarre, and it shoots webs, so it can block you from movement and all sorts of stuff.
It's a humanoid torso.
Yeah, okay.
Is it?
I think it's a spider with like deer legs, though. It's just it's a clusterfuck.
It's different. It's definitely different.
Spy deer.
It's hilarious.
The rainbow horse, though, is by far the most hilarious. That thing is just... it just looks like it's on PCP the entire time.
He launches his little horn as like a delayed AoE thing at some hex on the thing. The face he pulls when it launches is just disturbing. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's really well balanced. Like sometimes your characters, your AoEs will obviously hit everyone in that area, even if they're on your team. And also sometimes the ranged guys miss and hit your own team, and sometimes the cupcakes they heal the other team.
Oh, really? I didn't see that happen.
Yeah, there's a chance for them to fail.
Oh wow, that
accidentally
would be bad.
do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Silly cupcakes.
Silly cupcakes.
You have to position them closer to your guys at all times.
Yeah. When you're playing,
just trying to be helpful.
Yeah, when you're playing with two people, you're in this little wagon where you go around the map, and you've got a gun. So one person controls the gun, and the other one controls the actual wagon. And it's super neat. There is a way that you can auto complete quests as you encounter them on the board, or encounters, by boosting through them and squishing them, which is kind of neat if you just want to sort of gain gubs. But Jam and I were on our way to escort. No, we're on our way to do something. We met a man who really needed to go to the bathroom. So we took him to Tinkletown. And when he got there, it was overtaken by a group of people and an evil overlord on a toilet. So we fought them, and then we had to escort him back somewhere else. And we got embroiled in this issue to do with a baseball team. And then the baseball team got angry at us and chased us all around the map until we died.
That was disappointing.
That was very disappointing. Hilarious. And
we were just zombies.
Stupid zombie baseball team who got very angry that we defeated their team and so chased us all around the map. It just doesn't stop. The game does not stop. It has no chill. It has zero chill, and it is just super fun. And you can also play what's it called? It's not unwinnable. It's like endless. Insane mode. It's not insane mode. What's it called when you go into the co-op mode and you can play against the
Invincible?
never-ending waves?
Impossible one.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. Damn it.
So there's the one where you play against, you can do 2v2 or 1v1, so against real life people.
It's like the unfair arena or something like that.
Yes, the unfair arena, where basically they put you up against an unfair challenge. You'll never win. They will just keep ramping it up, and you get a score for how far you get through, so how many rounds you get through. And it is brutal. Absolutely brutal. One of the most essential things that we found in terms of mechanics that are important is that if you are playing with a group of people and you log into the co-op, their levels in the story-based version of the game get evened out and everyone's on the same level.
Boo.
Which Jam and I were very disappointed about because we put a lot of time into leveling ourselves up before we played two other people, thinking that we were going to wipe the floor with them, and then we did not.
I was very grateful that wasn't the case, so we could actually have a balanced game.
But we put so much time. We built our teams. Our teams were so great. But in the end, we had entirely too many cupcakes and just a stupid unicorn.
Too many cupcakes on the
Unicorn
dance floor.
was so good when he was twice the level of everyone else.
He really was. But he very quickly became the weight to which our team was anchored to.
Yeah.
As well as our cupcakes. And we lost.
Cupcakes.
You know?
Made a cupcake fort.
We did. We surrounded our 3 cupcakes and there was no getting in. But of course,
They were still getting
AoE
shot,
and ranged. Yeah, AoE and ranged got them in. And plus, their health always goes down because they heal people.
Yeah.
And so eventually they will kill themselves. And the thing in this arena mode that's not, when you fight in the real world, they can level up and get all of their health back. And when that happens in the middle of the battle, it's amazing.
Very useful.
Very useful. And so when we went into the co-op mode, we figured that would happen as well, but it didn't. So they just kept going down and down and down, and then eventually died, and then it became useless to us. So team comp is important.
Oh yes, super important.
Very important. But it's been fun, and I'm looking forward to the games that are developing and coming out full. I think it'll be a bit of a heavy hitter on the consoles for sure.
Oh yeah, this game, and that's the thing I think plays in its favor, is it is very console friendly.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like, there's nothing that's super intensive, like you need precision mouse control or anything like that. You could easily play this on a gamepad.
Yeah, couch co-op is going to be a real thing.
Yeah.
And Behemoth always do that well. Always.
They do. It's their thing. They've hit the nail on the head again, basically. They're getting their niche quite well in amazing games.
Yeah.
They sure are.
But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. The setting is a nice take on generic fantasy. It's just that it's weird, like...
A nice take? You mean like a
Horatio the
bear
blueberry
god
farmer?
bleeding all over the world, like, basically sending it into ruin?
So bizarre.
Squishing his son.
So
It's
fantastic.
unique. It's
That's
unique.
one way to put it.
I said Horatio dies. He's so good. Butterfingers. Yeah, it's I can't stop with this game. I love it. I'm gonna. They're usually at PAX, and for whatever reason, because I wasn't a big Battle Block Theatre player, I've never really sort of sought them out. So this year for sure, I'm gonna go take a look. Yeah, I'm gonna go high five some people.
Actually, I will high five them in particularly for the music. Holy shit!
It's
Jam was talking about how it doesn't, like, the game doesn't let up. The music doesn't let up either. It's fantastically frenetic.
You will be bopping to it.
So
I
much
bopped to
bopping.
it. It was great.
The narration was the high point for me. I think that was where most of the humour sort of came across, and that was the bit that I found just didn't let up. Like, it was just unique and inventive, and there was something new to pay attention to every single scene.
And it was a perfect introduction.
Yeah.
Like, how better to introduce you to the supreme silliness of the game than this wonderful narrator who enunciates every word, whereas the little characters you play go...
Yeah, they speak
I
sim.
love that so much.
It's so good. And so they'll reply in their little mumble, and he'll reply in, full words, full and whole words. And it's hilarious. There's insinuations and stupid jokes.
When you move some of them, and they're like, you give them directions, and all the cupcakes make baby sounds. So when you hit them, it's like a baby giggling. It's disturbing.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Now, early access
It is a bit
aside,
odd.
do we actually have any idea as to the length of the narrative in this game? Like, is there an actual endpoint
Very
with
short.
like a...
Yeah.
Yeah?
We hit it.
Oh, you
Jam and
did?
I hit it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there were other, like, pickup quests we could have kept doing, but narrative-wise, yeah, it didn't take long because it is early access. It's still playable, like, for ages more, but I can't wait to see the full version.
One thing I found a little tricky with this game, and I think I spoke to you guys about it before, and this was totally me looking for depth that wasn't there, was I actually found the tutorial to the game, while a fun sort of thing and, introduced yourself to the silliness of the world quite effectively, the actual gameplay sort of instruction of that tutorial I found to be quite lacking. And it's not that it needs a lot, because, a lot of it is very, just click, this, click that, you're attacking, there's no complex decisions to be made. But some of the other systems I kind of just had to experiment with to work them out. There wasn't a lot of explaining until you kind of just dive in and have a go, which might be by design, but like The thing that I was a little concerned with was when you actually get into the main city and, you come to when you're in your base, which I think is like a hotel or something, and you've got resources to spend on upgrades and stuff like that. I would have liked a little bit of an explanation as to what the heck you were spending resource on so you didn't think you were spending it on the wrong thing. But I don't know, you kind of work it out. Just a little bit more information I think would have been helpful.
It's fairly intuitive, and the one thing I did notice is whilst a lot of the instructions say while you're on the PC, because we played on PC, spacebar and things like that, a lot of the on-screen prompts are actually made for the Xbox because they're saying things like Y, and they've got a yellow button and those types of things. So I feel like that's part of the early access part, as they've just sort of made it so it's sort of universally applicable, played on both platforms, and then later on there'll be a separation, much like there is in, say, other games where if you plug in a controller, it recognizes it and changes the instructions. I think that will come. But traditionally, in the other games that I played from the Behemoth, it's fairly intuitive if you sort of spend time and sort of do it. We were a little concerned about how to link up, so I hope that they work on that a little bit. It wasn't tricky so much as it sort of gave you this warning, like, if you do this, like, you'll lose all your unsaved progress. And I was like, I don't know how to tell what's saved and what's not, and how do I save?
Yeah.
And so I started panicking that, and we basically just bit the bullet and went, okay, we'll see what happens. And we figured it out. But there was no sort of like a save house that you went to so you could be sure that you'd saved your progress, or any sort of, this is being saved sort of icon. So that's the only thing that I would really want, is sort of clearer instructions about moving to co-op and saving your game. But I will continue to play this game because I think it's super fun, and I think it would be great for as a warm-up game, just playing co-op and pitting myself against, see how far I can get in the tournaments and things.
Yeah, I really love the game, but that being said, I do have two minor gripes with it. One is really minor. One is something that I think is probably a little bit more significant and limits my replay enjoyment. But the minor one is, I think that the map navigation is really confusing, particularly because you've got no fucking idea where you are. Actually having some sort of window as to the map as a whole would be really helpful, and maybe they don't have that by design, but I getting lost was a real big thing, and that didn't feel fun. So I think that would have been a little better to have a bit more of an idea where you were going. But and the map is quite big. Like I don't know how big it is in terms of the edges. Maybe you ladies sort of actually hit the limits there, but it's the only way to really find your main base is it's got this giant telephone cord sort of sticking out the top of it, and you're lucky enough to find the top of the cord. You can kind of follow it back. But that was a little tricky. But my bigger complaint with the game, and again, this is aside from the fact that I love everything else about it, because it is really, really good, I didn't enjoy the multiplayer PvP at all. Like, I thought it was very, very grindy. Took way, way too long to go through the game. And when you're playing human versus human, I thought that there probably wasn't as much strategy to it as you would like. There was a little bit, but if they had have made the weapons a bit more damaging, or the health pool a little bit less, and made it a bit snappier, I think it would have been a lot better. But it just, like, Ollie and I had a battle, and I think we were in that same battle for the good part of 20 minutes to half an hour. So yeah, it
was a grind, that fight.
Super, super grindy.
And even the 2v2 we had with the two ladies and Jason and myself, that felt quite grindy as well. Yeah. So
towards the end, especially when it starts becoming inevitable.
Yes.
When you don't have that level up mechanic, it was just sort of like Jamie and I running around the board being annoying until you can catch us. That was what it turned into, really.
Yeah. I think they could offset that by maybe inserting some objectives during fights that can kind of give you an edge by achieving them, or maybe making the terrain play a little bit more of a part. But I don't know how to fix that problem.
Terrain definitely already plays a part. We found that out in V2.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah. Explosive barrels are legit.
Explosive barrels, for example, will give you cover, but will explode at some point.
Okay.
You've taken enough damage. The floor, sometimes you have spikes or pools of lava or ice, and they all have their own effects, and they all have their own impacts on how you fight, depending on whether you're ranged or tank or those types of things. So there is quite a lot of built-in mechanics around where you are on the board. I think that's been done particularly well. Okay. But yeah, I would agree on the co-op. If they can make it like 4v4, like Battle Royale style, I would be down with that as well. That would be cool. Because then you've got a lot more, like, where do I go? It becomes a game of risk. Like, who's the biggest threat?
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Natural alliance will form, and then you'll have, like, a bow and fight moment between the final two people.
Yeah.
Except my not unicorn would still just shoot whoever the fuck he wanted to.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think one of my people might have died to the unicorn, that's for sure.
I didn't
one of my
even
guys
notice.
died because he was almost dead, and I clicked him to go a certain direction, and he chose to go the up direction rather than the down direction and walk straight over the spikes, so he died.
Yeah. You can do some careful pathfinding with them, but yeah, that has happened to me in the single player. I was like, oh dear.
Those are deadly. Yeah,
Yep.
and there is fights in that are just not winnable until you're super high level, and Jam and I found that out the hard way. That fairy fight, Jam, where, oh my god, we got obliterated. It's like an epic level, so I was Googling later on, like looking into it as to why we died so quickly, and they're basically rare occurrences on the board of this roaming group of high-level pixies. And yeah, we bumped into them. There was a lot of them. There was a lot of explosions.
And we didn't have much ranged at that point.
Oh no. So, yeah, we got our butts handed to us. That was the end of the zombie chasing. We accidentally ran into those guys. So some little tweaks, but since it's still early access, I have really high hopes for this game.
Yeah.
Really high hopes. I'm considering getting it on console. So
Ooh.
because I think it would be
Fair
great when
enough.
people are here, and it would be a fun little game to play.
Couch co-op, I think, would be great with this game. Like, super, super good.
Neato. When we have our Ori and the Blind Forest night or day, we can play Pit People when I get too angry at my Xbox.
So, final 10-second thoughts. Luke, go.
Definitely worth the price tag. A lot of promise. A little bit of polish on the multiplayer. I loved it.
Mimo.
It's great. You should play it. Definitely worth the price.
Jam.
Ditto and the Behemoth crew always pull through. I'm expecting wonderful things.
So, there we go. Pretty much all-round thumbs up with some minor tweaks required, but for early access, it kicks absolute butt.
Yeah.
Pit People, go play it on your video game platform of choice, as long as that's Xbox One or PC. Shall we pick our next party game of the month?
That sounds good. So, all right.
Do you
All
have
right.
the device?
Because I am the one controlling this section, I'm not going to be the one reading out the stipulations. Instead, I'm going to throw it to Jam.
God damn it.
What are the rules?
It has to be a game.
Solid
It has
start.
to be digitally available. No more than $30 American? Okay. Something we can knock out in less than 8 hours or get a fair idea of. And has to be super awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
I don't
Luke,
know.
help her out.
No, she's pretty much got it. Doesn't have to be PC. I mean, we've done a lot of PC games, but
Preferably.
anything that we all have access to is fine. So if it's available on PC and PlayStation and Xbox, then it's totally fine. If it's a smartphone game, we all
Ollie
have
doesn't
phones.
have a PlayStation.
So no, but if it's available
I
on
have
multiple
access to a
platforms, like
PlayStation.
this, Pit People's a really good example because
Oh,
we
yeah.
could have played it on Xbox if we wanted to, sort of thing. So
Yeah.
All right, so I have the random... I dropped the random number generator. 2 seconds.
Come on.
Look, I'm pretty cool like
he's on a
that.
roll.
So, he's a cool guy.
Oh, dear.
So, I'm going to roll a thing for us, and it will determine our new party game of the month.
Woo.
So, in fairness, I have closed the document. My fellow co-hosts
I
can
don't believe it.
deduce that I have, in fact, rarely opened it
Ever?
on any episode.
Given that
So-
Ollie hasn't rolled his own game like almost ever, I think we're pretty safe that he's doing the right thing.
Still, I'm going
Exactly.
to randomize. No, I'm not.
Yep. All right, go for it, man.
I've got it. Oh shit, that went under a plate. 2 seconds.
I've got a plate.
I have plates. I eat at my computer. I'm not a heathen. I don't put choc milk on my monitor like Jam.
Well, I'm not sure that was choc milk, but yeah.
That's worse,
God.
not better. That is a 4. So whatever the fuck a 4 is.
Hey!
Imogen's
It is
super
Never
happy.
Alone.
What the heck is Never Alone, Mimo? You picked this game?
Never Alone is a narrative-based story game where I'm just looking up the actual official explanation.
You play
that
a cool little kid.
Yeah, you play. Never Alone is known as Kasima Injectuna and is a puzzle platformer adventure video game by Upper One Games based on traditional tale,
Puzzle?
which was first recorded some time ago. It was released in 2014. It is based on which was first recorded by the master storyteller Robert Cleveland in his collection of stories by the Black River people. So,
I was going to say it's an Inuit thing, isn't it?
Inuit based, yeah. So you're playing with basically like a little spirit animal, and so it just looks super cool. It is. I picked it because it's a beautiful game, and it's been on my to play list for a while, and so I needed an excuse to play it. You play as Nuna and her Arctic fox, and it's an atmospheric puzzle platformer. So the words puzzle and platformer are making me start to think to second guess myself. But
That surprised
I can always
me.
roll a 5 instead.
Apparently it's got
Yeah.
local co-op, so maybe that's your saving grace.
Oh.
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
So it's on Android, iOS, PS4, Xbox One, Windows, Linux, because why not, right? Let's be hipster about it. And the Wii U, so pretty
It's
much
on
everything we care
iOS?
about.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I could play it on my iPad. It can't be that hard, surely.
$14.99 US. So
Yeah. So it looks beautiful, and so I'm really looking forward to playing it. And this has been on the list as my game for some time, so I'm very excited. Very excited. Did I say who it was produced by? I did.
Nah, we'll do that for our review.
Upper One Games. So yeah, if you want to play along with us, please do. It looks super adorable and captured my attention. So if super adorable is your type of game, then I think you should check it out.
we've had a really good variety of party games this year so far, actually. It's going to be a super interesting discussion when we hit December and go through our best of the year stuff.
That's so far in the future.
Well,
that's a lot of.
We're almost halfway through the year, so it's not that far, really, all things considered. We're getting there quick. Well, so heading into next week, all of the craziness is really going to be ramping up and starting. So I think we've got EA's press conference looking forward to on the weekend. So we'll have seen that and a bunch of the others by the time we hit recording next week. So, yeah. Is there anything you guys are particularly looking forward to paying attention to over the next week? Is there one press conference you're looking forward to watching the most?
Bethesda. Always.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe Ubisoft? Oh, I don't know. Don't make me choose.
And of course Nintendo. If that's a Mario announcement, I'm super pumped.
Yeah.
But I usually watch these after the fact because they either occur very early in the morning or during a work day. So
What I want to see is Microsoft announce cross-platform Minecraft. That's just
that
gonna
would be so
amazing.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Or just PC to Xbox, really. I'd be happy with that.
And State of Decay 2 was something one of our friends was talking about recently, which I really want to happen.
Yeah. I'm super jazzed for Microsoft's press conference for two main reasons. One is because I'm really curious to see how they land with the Scorpio messaging. Because I think that there's enough information about the hardware out in the wild now that they're going to have to sort of, really put all their cards on the table as far as pricing and that kind of thing goes. So it's going to be very curious to see where they land with that stuff. But the other main reason is because the one game that I'm looking forward to hearing about, if it is going to have any new information at E3 this year, I think will probably appear at the Microsoft press conference if it is going to get announced, and that is CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077. So,
I want some info on that.
yep. So I'll be super happy if we get like some sort of release window for that. That would just be like above and beyond what I'm expecting. I don't think we will, but we'll see. So
Maybe some footage.
Yeah, that would be awesome. There's going to be a lot of God of War stuff apparently, because I just saw images this afternoon of a massive billboard going up around where the convention center is, sort of over in the States there where E3 is being held. They're putting up a lot of marketing material for that game, so I think that's probably going to be, more firmly announced after the footage we saw last year. So yeah, it'll be cool.
Remember that Android game, Detroit Become Human?
Yeah. So
Guess who just found their notes from E3 2016?
Oh, nice.
I'm flicking through.
Nice. Well, we can
Nice.
we can refer back to a few of those next week too, and actually see where some of the stuff we heard about a year ago is at. That's an interesting discussion in its own right. So, yeah, interesting. All right. Well, anyway, lots to look forward to. Lots of stuff to catch up on in the next 7 days. But yeah, tune in next week for sure, because we're approaching pretty much video game Christmas, and we've got no shortage of cool shit to talk about. So there you go. Gonna be good. All right. Well, any personal gaming in the next week? What are people focusing on? I'm going to be gwenting and witchering. What about you, Ollie? What are you diving into?
I want to play some more PUBG. I want more PUBG.
Okay, I'll play some more PUBG.
Yay! That was easy.
But Jan, what about Persona?
Oh, Persona 2.
Nice.
I'll just, I don't know. I need clones. No, because then I don't get to enjoy everything. Okay, I need a clone if my clone will be the one who goes and does, the work stuff. Do you think?
Nice.
Do you think Clone Me would
Solid.
put up with that? I don't think she would.
No.
I think she'd smack me.
Regular you can barely put up with that.
Yeah. It's
Fair
just
point.
exhausting. Yeah.
Shit.
More games.
Nice.
Many games.
Are we Magikarping Imogen, or are we leaving
Oh,
it
hell
behind?
no, I'm done with that game. That game.
Monument Valley time.
That game took my soul, invested it into a Magikarp, and then squished it with a Voltorb. And then I did the walk of shame by
Hey.
myself as I remembered its journey. So no, I will never be playing that game again. Persona 5. I have to get into it. I just have to sit down at my PlayStation and actually play it. And the fact that I've been sick for almost a week now and still haven't picked it up, there's something blocking me. It's not bad. It is in favour of other games, but I just
want to
need
be
sit
in your
down.
maximum enjoyability space.
Yeah.
In the
It's
zone.
usually, like,
Absorb it all.
Yeah.
online with you guys. So maybe when we're all on PlayStation at some stage, I might try and jump on and do some. We'll see.
And do that.
Hopefully.
Yep. Oh, well, I feel good about getting some gaming done in the next few days until all the distractions hit, but after that point, maybe not so much, so we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, but we'll leave it there and call it a night. But thanks, everybody, for listening once again. You can catch us on all the usual social media locations, so mail@partyloader.com. We're on Facebook. You can find us on Skype. Twitter, Twitter, you can find us at Party Loaded Show. We're also on iTunes, of course. You can consume our content on YouTube at youtube.com/channel Endgame, where every episode of our show after it's launched goes up on YouTube too. So if you like to sort of listen to things online and minimize windows and stuff like that, you can do that too. So there you go. And
Just call Luke on Skype.
yeah, no, don't do that.
cool.
I won't answer.
Do that.
Bring, bring.
Spam him. Spam him.
I barely answer when these knuckleheads call, so I'm not, doing that for any other person.
Spoiler, we never call.
All right, I'm hanging up. Good night, everyone. Thanks very much for listening. We'll see you next
Bye.
week.
Have fun, friends.
Bye.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.